I can see the train of prophets coming, and then Jesus coming and stating in Matthew, "Think not that I came to abolish the law or the prophets." And for us, we see that continuation, the series of prophets from Abraham and Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, all the way to Moses, to David, to Solomon, to Zechariah, to John the Baptist, to Jesus. We believe in all of them. We see them, all of them, as one. But my question to you is, why all of a sudden this great, wonderful, beloved prophet, Jesus, peace be upon him, is elevated from being a prophet like Abraham and Moses to being divine?
Clearly, every one of the followers of Jesus who put pen to paper and recorded his words and his teachings, and even was willing to die for his testimony, referred to him as Kurios. And that term, Lord, was used in the Greek translation of the Old Testament called the Septuagint of the name Yahweh. And they took a number of the texts that were specifically and only about Yahweh and applied them to Jesus in their own writings.
Well, I read in there that when Jesus came from Galilee into Jerusalem, there were crowds following him, okay? And the crowds, they said, they were asked, from up in the temple, who is this? They said, this is the prophet Jesus, right?
Yes.
They didn't say this is the Son of God. They didn't say this is God. They said this is the prophet Jesus from Galilee. Now, that I have absolutely no problem with. We agree with it. This is what we know him to be. Now, as a monotheist, I cannot elevate anyone above that to be God or part of God. And that's where I ask, did Jesus ever plainly said, I am God, or I'm Son of God, or worship me? If this is so central in Christianity, of a belief that does not agree with what the Jews believe, shouldn't Jesus really make it super clear, I am God, or I am the Son of God? It should be repeated. Why throughout the text he says, Son of Man?
Interestingly enough, Jesus did say, I am, a number of times in a very significant way. He used the term I am in the way that it's used in the Old Testament of Yahweh. In John 8:58, he said, Prin Abraham genestai ego I me, before Abraham was, I am. The Jews picked up stones to stone him. Why were they stoning him? For claiming to be a prophet? No, for claiming a divine name. He used that very same phrase when the soldiers came to arrest him in John chapter 18. And when he said, I am, let me just answer this. When he said, I am, the Jews fell back upon the ground when he uttered those words. And in John 13:19, he quoted directly from Isaiah 43:10, where God identifies himself as the I am of himself. He did, in fact, accept worship. And while the Bible does say Jesus was a prophet, that's not all it says Jesus was. He is prophet, he's priest, he's king, he's Son of God, and Son of Man is a divine title. Remember in Mark chapter 14, during the trial of Jesus, what happens when Jesus quotes from Psalm 110 and Daniel chapter 7 and says, you'll see the Son of Man? What does the high priest do? He tears his robes and says, you've heard the blasphemy. What further need do we have of witnesses? Why? Because when you go to Daniel chapter 7, the Son of Man is worshipped in the highest form of worship. He is a divine person there in Daniel chapter 7. And Jesus made application directly to himself. And so it's not that we're denying that Jesus was a prophet. We believe that he was a prophet. He was just much more than a prophet. We're not taking a simple man and exalting him and going into excess. Jesus is described as God numerous times by his followers. Titus 2:13, 2 Peter 1:1. It is said that he is eternal. He's the creator of all things. He's worshipped. He accepts worship. In John 20:28, it's as resurrection. When Thomas says to Jesus, Hakuriasmu kai hatheasmu, my Lord and my God, what would a prophet have to say if someone bowed down before you and said, my Lord and my God? A prophet would have to say, no, do not worship me, worship only God. Jesus' response is, because you've seen me, have you believed, Thomas? Blessed are those who, having not seen, have believed. He accepted Thomas's acclamation of him as Lord and God as a statement of faith.